The very last thing we're going to demonstrate in this tutorial is to show how to create a histogram. What I have open before us here is a separate Excel spreadsheet from the one we had before, and you see at the very top its title is histogram. What I've got on this screen is information from a question that was asked in a 2008 General Social Survey about how often do you pray. And we see then the range of options: never, less than once a month, all the way down to several times a day. And a frequency distribution, percentage distribution, and a couple of cumulative distributions, frequency and percent. What we're going to do is show how we can report this information into created a histogram from what we have here. We'll do the same thing we've done before for creating any sort of bar chart, and histogram is just a special case of a bar chart. I've clicked and dragged to highlight the options we have there for histogram in terms of the actual labels for the responses, and I'm going to report the percentage distribution here. Click and drag to highlight. So again, the way I did it before, click and drag. So move your cursor to the very first cell, hold down the left mouse button and drag. Now let go of the left mouse button. Move the cursor to the top of the next range of cells, hold down the control key, now hold down the left mouse button, click and drag to highlight the range in the second column to include in the chart, and lift both of those up. That is, let go the control and the left mouse button. I'll come under insert, and as we saw before, there really was no button for a histogram, so I'm just going to go right back to the bar chart and come down to the two-column bar chart, and right there is how we would see then the start of our histogram. But I've already created, you notice down towards the bottom here, there's a tab for chart 1. I've already created the bar chart for this information, and I formatted it. So let's go ahead and delete this right there and just move to see what the chart looks like that I have right now. So it's your typical bar chart that we've done before. I've not adjusted the width of the bars nor changed the color, but everything else is formatted the way I like to format them, at least. I'm going to move the cursor on top of one of the bars, left mouse click to highlight all the bars, and now let's do a right mouse click. Come down to Format Data Series, and we notice that what pops open here are the different sets of commands that I can use. Fill and line, also different special effects, but what is open here are series options, and that's what's highlighted here when we see. If I click on the bucket, I can actually go and change the colors here, but I'm going to go, and let's go ahead and do that first. I'll come down to a solid color, not the automatic colors. I'll come down and I'll choose, let's see, oh, that's for the border. I'm going to go back and do a fill first. Click on fill. So again, this is how it opened up with the series option tab clicked, or that icon clicked. I'm going to come over to the button. I'm going to click on solid fill, but the fill I want to change is not going to be black. I want to make it more of a gray. Now I'll put a border around it, and the border becomes really useful when you have, and I already have that border already set there, black. It's really useful for when you have a histogram, because we can clearly see one bar from another. I'm going to go back over to the series options, and we looked at gap width before, and keep in mind that as we made the gap width smaller, we noticed the bars got larger. As we made the gap width larger, the bars got smaller. Let's go ahead and click and drag to highlight the number and just put in 0 and hit enter. Let's go ahead and close that, and now you have a histogram. So all a histogram is nothing more than creating a bar chart in Excel and then highlighting the bars, right mouse button to open up Format Data Series, and when that comes up, all we're going to do is, it was something like this before, go to gap width and change gap width to 0 and hit enter. And then we can go ahead and close that up. So all you do is change your gap width to 0 so there's no gap between the bars. And now you notice here with the outline around each of the bars, it's real obvious as to when one bar ends and the other bar begins. But that's all you need to do to create a histogram.